Chris here from Keystone Lawn and Tree Care. Today we're going to talk about advertising and promotion. When you're first getting started, you don't have any money. You know, when I first got started, I didn't even have any money to make a business card, let alone buy a whole box of business cards. I just didn't have that kind of money. And so I want to talk to you about some cheap things you can do. You know, so for example, when I first got started, I looked around me and what are the things I had? I had a ream of paper, I had a pair of scissors, and I had a computer. I designed a little flyer on my computer, and then I just cut them in half, and they looked something kind of like this. And what I did is I front and back, and these things were really low cost. There was paper I already had, scissors I already had, a computer I already had, and it was super cheap to get started. And another low cost thing you can do is think about maybe partnering with somebody in the local community that's already running an advertising campaign. For example, this guy at Scoop Troop, Spokane, he's a pet waste removal company. He's already out there pounding the pavement, hanging these things up. So we work together. And if you look at this, it's totally blank on the other side. So again, you're taking your flyer or your business card and you're just stapling it to the back. You're kind of piggybacking on these guys' efforts. And you work together. You know, you're handing out these things with your business card on the back together, or your flyers or whatever. And we're talking about handing out flyers all over the neighborhood for all day, just really knocking on doors, getting out there, getting after it, you know, for hours and hours and hours a day. Because, you know, let's face it, the return rate on a flyer on somebody's door is like 1%. I mean, you're going to have to hand out 500 of these things to get 5 phone calls. And out of those 5 phone calls you get, you might get 1 sale. You just busted your butt hanging flyers, knocking on doors all day for 1 sale? Yes, you did. And it's tough. There are other ways of doing it to make more money, better returns, but when you're first starting out, that's all you got. You got to work with what you have. Another idea is maybe to advertise in a little community newspaper, something like this. You know, there's just tons of advertisings in here, and the advertising in a community little newspaper like that is fairly cheap. For example, when I first got started, I advertised in a little community newspaper like this, and it was going out to seniors. It was at the senior center, a little newspaper like that, and it was distributed to all seniors. And you say, well, why seniors? Well, because that was my target audience. So that gets my second point, is you have to know your target audience. Who are you going after? You know, you don't want to waste your money just handing out random flyers in a parking lot or something like that, or advertising in just any old newspaper. You want to know your target audience when you're first getting started. So for example, when I first got started, I only handed out these flyers in a certain neighborhood. And frankly, it was a neighborhood that was more affluent and had money to spend on something like lawn care, because you don't want to waste your time handing out flyers, and I'm sorry to say, in a lower income neighborhood, because they're not going to subscribe and buy your services. I mean, a guy who's making it, you know, paycheck to paycheck is not going to spend $50 a week to have you mow his lawn. So if that means you have to get in your car and drive across town to start handing out these flyers in a different part of town, you're going to have to do it. You got to go where the money is. You got to know where your target audience is. You got to advertise and say like the senior center or something. And you say, why seniors? Well, because they need lawn mowing. I mean, let's face it. You know, they're not mowing their own lawn. And in a more affluent neighborhood, they got the money. They got their Social Security or whatever. You know, they're getting paid their pensions. They're getting paid a little bit more. So that's your target audience, for example. I'm not telling you to go solicit to seniors. I'm just saying that's what I did, and that's how I first got my foot in the door, and that's how it started to work for me. All right, so we got our community newspaper. You got your business cards, you got your flyers. You're working with somebody in the neighborhood, kind of piggybacking off one another with your friend. And this is kind of one channel. Another channel you're going to want to start to think about is joining business clubs and networking clubs within your community. You know, for example, you're going to want to join your local Kiwanis Club, for example, or maybe your Lions Club. And I joined the Kiwanis Club and I love it. These people are good people. They're local entrepreneurs just like me, and we help each other. And it's really a kind of a good family and friends that I've developed over the years joining a Kiwanis Club. And these guys are great. And they help you out. They throw you a bone. and we work together. Another great one is a business networking club. I joined the Spokane Business Builders Networking Club, and man, they were instrumental in just launching my business. I mean, these are a great group of individuals that come together from all walks of life and talking about business, exchanging leads, and man, it was fantastic. You have to do it. You're joining your Kiwanis Club, you're joining your business networking club, you're joining the local chamber of commerce or whatever you have in your community. You're getting out there. You have to pound the pavement. You got to make these relationships, because let's face it, people are not buying lawn mowing just because they need their lawn mowed. It's really relational things here. These people are trusting you to come onto their lawns and into their private, area, into their backyards, mow their lawns, and it's kind of intimate, and we're selling ourselves, we're selling our reputation. And when you get out there into the community and you start building your good reputation, you show up to your business meetings, you show up on time, you exchange leads, you go to your Kiwanis Club, and it's not out of like obligation, because you actually start to enjoy it. I really enjoy meeting with the Spokane Business Builders. It was a great opportunity. I really enjoyed it. I like going to the Kiwanis Club. It's cool, And so you're out there in the community, you're investing your time, and you're going to have to do it regularly. You're in it for the long haul. You're going to go to these meetings every week. You're going to talk to these people. You're going to develop relationships. You're going to say join maybe the real estate club. Or what do you have to do? You're going to talk with real estate agents? Well, yeah, real estate agents are selling houses all the time, and they want the houses to look good, and they're going to hire somebody oftentimes to mow the lawn. So that's just another little channel. So you got your paper marketing, you got your business relationships that you're building out there, and it's fantastic. Things are starting to kind of pick up traction. And so the next thing you're going to want to do is maybe start a website. We can talk about the details of starting a website maybe in another video, but for the most part, you're going to spend probably like $50 a month initially to get your website going. And so now you got your website, you got this, you got your marketing, it's starting to work, and you're starting to get phone calls. So the next thing we're going to talk about is how to qualify. You spent so much time in getting this stuff together and developing relationships. Now you're going to want to start qualifying the leads that are calling you. That's super important. Qualify the lead. All right, so you've already spent a lot of time and money on these flyers, these different groups you've joined, and now the phone is starting to ring, and you're excited, and you're going to need to qualify the lead. And what do I mean by that? When the phone rings and somebody asks for a quote, you're not going to stop and just run over there and just drive across town and stop what you're doing. No, you're going to try to start to qualify the lead over the phone. One, is it even the right target neighborhood that you're going after? Is it nearby any of your other clients? And you don't want to waste your time. You're just going to say, sorry, no. And yeah, it sucks because you're just getting started and you'll do anything for $1. I know, I've been there. But no, you're going to want to qualify the client. And another thing, don't sell yourself short. Don't start bringing down the price and saying, oh, well, I can do it every other week for less money or whatever. No, you want to set the bar high. I mean, I know it sucks because you're just getting started and you're saying no. You might not be able to afford to do that right away, but you're going to want to start developing like your neighborhoods, your routes. You're going to want to start thinking about that sort of thing moving forward into the future. And you know what? If somebody calls you and the first question out of their mouth is, how much do you charge? They're probably not a good client. You can just, you're not going to tell them your pricing straight off the shooting from the hip, because you don't want to get locked into some big yard for a low amount. And yeah, you'll eventually want to actually maybe carve out some time in your week to make the rounds and do quotes. But for right now, you're qualifying the lead to see if they can even afford your services. And don't sell yourself short. Not selling yourself short. What do I mean by that? Everything that we just talked about qualifying the client, about teaming up with somebody else in the neighborhood who's doing a advertising campaign at the same time you are, sending out flyers, doing business cards. This stuff, it was hard. And it took a lot of time and money. And then when you get a customer who calls you and from a different neighborhood and they're across town, and when you're first getting started, you're excited. You're like, well, all right, yes, I got a client. Oh, I can't believe it. What am I going to do? And you run over there, you give them a quote, and they're like, all right, okay, I'm going to get started. And and then they start to kind of complain about the price, and you're already there and you're excited, and they're like, well, can you take some money off the quote, da da da, and you're like, yeah, all right, I guess, because you're just excited to work. That's what I'm talking about. That's selling yourself short. You didn't spend all this time we're talking about before handing out flyers in your particular neighborhood, which you're going after your particular demographic of people, and then just to sell yourself short, work across town for pennies on the dollar. No, you didn't. And don't sell yourself short. And that's what I'm talking about. I made those mistakes in the past. Yeah, the first few phone calls I got, I was super excited. I'm like, yeah, all right, the phone's ringing. I'm going to run over there. I'm going to get the business, and I don't care what it takes. What a big mistake. What a huge waste of time. Run across town in a different neighborhood, sell myself short, do the job for less money, and it's just a big headache. And then I started to develop this reputation that I'm like the cheap guy in town, and yeah, it was okay, I guess, for a while. Maybe I made a few bucks, but in the long run, I had these people calling me, and they're like, hey, can you come back and do the job? And I'm like, well, no, because last time I busted my ass, and I didn't really get paid very much. And in fact, I didn't like doing the work, and it was no, and so really don't sell yourself short. Try to set that expectation when you're first getting started that, you're the best. You really are. You've already worked hard. You've gotten your clients, you've gotten your partnership, you've got your business groups that you're a part of, and you don't want to sell yourself short. You don't want to be that guy in town. All right, guys, we talked about a lot today. We talked about our business cards, our flyers, how we can work with somebody in the neighborhood that's already doing their own advertising campaign, and how we can kind of piggyback off their efforts and work together. You distribute their flyers, they distribute your flyers, type of thing. And we talked a little bit about qualifying the lead. We'll get more into that later in later videos. And also not selling yourself short. And I really think that's probably the most important takeaway, if you get anything out of this, is don't sell yourself short. Anyway, that's it for today. Please subscribe, hit the old like button, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.